Hi everyone, welcome to Introduction to Differentiation. So today we are going to look at different types of examples and functions and try to differentiate or basically find the derivative of each function. So when it comes to finding a derivative, there are different ways we can do it. We can use the limit quotient or the difference quotient. Another way, a more simpler method, is when we have, for example, a function like y equals to x to the power of n. The derivative of that, which is represented by y prime, is going to be n times x to the power n minus 1. And this formula is very crucial because it's very useful to use when it comes to finding derivatives. So let's say if I have x to the power of 2, the derivative would be, well, we know that n is 2, so the 2 will move to the front as a coefficient, so it becomes 2x to the power of n minus 1, which is just x by itself, 2x. So that's an example. So now we want to apply it to a function that has to deal with addition and subtraction. So when it comes to a simple function like this, we will do it each individually. So we make use of this formula here. So for the first one, to find the derivative, we have 2 over 3, and then the 4 is n, right? And 4, the exponent, moves to the front. And the exponent becomes 4 minus 1, which is just 3. Plus, well, here we have 5x, so if you think about it, we have the exponent is 1, the 1 moves to the front, so it becomes just 5 by itself, and then 1 minus 1 is 0, and x to the power of 0 is 1, so then 5 times 1 is just 5, minus x to the power of negative 3, so the negative 3 moves to the front, negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. And to simplify that, we get this. Simple enough. Now let's move on to a function that deals with multiplication. Instead of doing it this method where we do it individually, this time, because it is multiplication, we can't just find the derivative of these individually because it would be incorrect. So a method that we have to use is to make use of the product rule. So the product rule is when you have a function y equals to u times v. The derivative of that is u prime times v plus u times v prime. So at the moment it may look very confusing, but once you practice more and more, it becomes very easy. So the first thing that we want to do here is identify what u and v is. So let's call this u and this v. So now I want to find just the derivative of u. So the u is x squared, and we found out earlier that when it's x squared, it becomes 2x, right? So the derivative of that is 2x. And the derivative of v is, well, we have negative 3x to the power of 2, so negative 3 times 2x to the power of 1, which is just x. And when you have a constant like 2, for example, the derivative of that will always be 0. The reason is because if you think about it, if you have a function, if it's 2, it would look something like this, and it's constant, and the rate of change is 0. So this would be 0, and so to simplify that, we get negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, negative 6x. So now we use the product rule and try to find the derivative of the whole function. So the derivative of that, we have u prime, so 2x, times v, negative 3x squared minus 2, plus regular u times v prime, negative 6x. And if we simplify that, we expand the expression, so it becomes negative 6x to the power of 3 minus 4x plus negative 6x to the power of cube. So it becomes negative 6 minus 6 is negative 12x cubed minus 4x. And there you have it. That is how you find the derivative of a function that deals with multiplication. But what about quotient rule? Again, we have to use a quotient rule. So when it comes to a function that is dividing by each other, if we have, for example, u divided by v, the derivative of that will become u prime times v minus u times v prime divided by v squared. So again, the first thing that we want to do is we want to find out what u and v is. So let this be u and this be v. So the derivative of u, again, it's a constant number, so the derivative is 0. And the derivative of v is, well, x to the power of 5, the derivative of that becomes 5x to the power of 5 minus 1, which is 4. And we have a constant, so nothing in there. So it's just 5x to the power of 4. So now we use the formula, the quotient rule, to find the derivative. So u prime is 0 times v minus u, which is 2, times v prime, which is 5x to the power of 4, divided by v squared. And to simplify that, we get 0 times anything is equal to 0, minus 10x to the power of 4. And let me just write it out clearly so that we can know how to expand it. So the top simplifies to negative 10x to the power of 4, and the bottom becomes x to the power of 10, right? We expand it, minus 10x to the power of 5 plus 25. And there you have it. That is how you find the derivative of a function that deals with division. So some major key takeaways is if you're adding or subtracting, then you can just find the derivative directly. If you're multiplying, you got to use the product rule. If you're dividing, you got to use the quotient rule. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps.